What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the 2008 mixtape by 36 Mafia. Basically, this project is called Last to Walk, the mixtape, and it came out in the late spring of 2008. Now the thing about this particular mixtape is it is a mixtape, but it's also kind of a mashup mixtape. I would have to say in particular, there are some songs on here that are kind of mashups of two particular. There are some mashups of some particular hit 36 Mafia songs. I'd have to say, so it's not really full blown original material. There are some remixes on here and a few original songs that were and some original songs that were originally kind of standalone singles as far as that pitch can happens, like the hit single Doughboy Fresh is kind of one that wasn't really on a home project that was touted as something that was supposed to be for the Last to Walk album in 2008, but it didn't make the cut, so it wound up on this particular mixtape, which is pretty. This is pretty fortunate, is because I particularly like that song, and I just always wonder what happened to it. And 36 Mafia dropped a number of singles in 2007. I think one of which was Like Money, and another one was Sugar Daddy, that were also throughout 2007 that were supposed to be like buzz singles for the Last to Walk album, as it got delayed because it was supposed to come out. Last to Walk was supposed to come out in 2007, got delayed to the summer of 2008, but it has supposed pretty good pitch just to kind of have that in particular. There's just some good stuff on this particular album and such. For this particular mixtape. But the thing about this particular mixtape is just the fact that it's kind of hard to find. I was looking to download it off of like Internet Archive or some places like that would have mixtapes, but thing about it is it's not really available. So I almost think that this mixtape is for sale because this is an official mixtape. DJ Paul shouts it out at the beginning on the intro and the outro saying that this is that the Last to Walk mixtape is an official project. So it's a dope concept. Get that in particular. I just wonder if you could find it for sale or something like that. If this was like a promo package that helped bolster like Last to Walk as far as that pitch can happen. So I wonder if it's like floating around for sale, some pitches like that. But I wasn't able to find it on Internet Archive and mixtape websites like Certified Mixtape, some of those type places. So not really sure as to how to get a hold of it. It is on YouTube. I just question as to where you would go to be able to find this particular project to get some of these songs because they are pretty dope. This is mixtape. This mixtape's going to get a pretty rave score, I'd have to say. So I definitely appreciate that. In particular, I'd have to say. But yeah, this is pretty heralded. There's 17 songs on this particular mixtape, and out of those 17, I wound up recommending to you 14 in some fashion. Now there's 10 full-blown songs I recommend, including the mashups and the original songs and that type of stuff. Then there's 4 songs I recommend that are almost songs just because you can find them on other 36 Mafia projects like Last to Walk, and then the Crazy in the Last Days, Tear the Club Up Thug song, which is Slob on My Knob, which is of course a classic. A classic 36 Mafia song. So that's just kind of the concept about it. But I'll go ahead and recommend these 14 songs in here so you can see what I'm talking about. So the 14 songs I would recommend would be the Side to Side remix, Hard Out Here for a Pimp, Side to Side, that mashup, Who Run It, You Scared mashup, Tear the Club Up, Who Run It mashup, Tear the Club Up, Who Run It mashup, Like Money, the new song, Poppin' My Collar, This Bitch, That Hoe mashup, Sippin' on Some Syrup, Got the Game Wrong mashup, Doughboy Fresh remix, Sugar Daddy, and Doughboy Fresh the original. And that's the concept about it. And I would have to say in particular some of these songs that are almost songs that I recommend would be A Bunch of That, which is on Last to Walk on the Deluxe or something like that. Slob on My Knob, which is a classic 36 Mafia tune on the Tear the Club Up Thugs album. Lolly Lolly Pop That Body, which is a single off of Last to Walk. I would just get that off Last to Walk. And then On Some Chrome, which is a hit, UGK hit. That's one of the last verses that Pimp C did. That's another hit off of Last to Walk, I'd have to say. So it's a good enough concept. But before I do that, before I talk about the songs I recommend on here, I'm going to talk about some songs that I would have personally chosen. I'm going to talk about some songs and productions that I would have personally chosen for like some of these mashups, I'd have to say. So some of these songs I would have chosen would have been Bin Laden from the Unbreakables, Let's Plan a Robbery from Most Known Unknown, Swervin' from Most Known Unknown, Pussy Got You Hooked from Most Known Unknown, and Sippin' on Some Syrup, the actual beat. I mean, Sippin' on Some Syrup, the lyrics are on this particular project, but not the actual beat. The beat was just better. Should have been that one instead of like the one that was with Got the Game Wrong, but Got the Game Wrong's pretty good beat. So either way, it was just a good rendition. But Sippin' on Some Syrup, the beat should have definitely been on this project. I'd have to say just a real good syrup sipping tune. I definitely feel like Pussy Got You Hooked, just a song for the ladies, just for like some juggalettes out there and some pitches like that would have been a nice one. Rami Ma did a great job on that particular song, so that's a nice one. Swervin' is of course another syrup sipping type tune that's really doom induced and things like that. So that would have been a nice one. And then Let's Plan a Robbery is like a real menacing piano type beat that would have been pretty damn excellent. And Bin Laden's a pretty nice smokish type tune. So that's definitely some highlights on there that I would have chosen for some mashups on here. It's just kind of the concept about it. But yeah, to talk about some of these, basically Hard Out Here for a Pimp, Side to Side is a pretty nice one. This is like an interesting struggle tune in like a nightclub sense. I'd have to say this is like a charged 3. The very revved and charged side to side beat fits this song pretty damn well, I'd have to say. So it's just interesting getting Hard Out Here for a Pimp with the side to side lyric. It's interesting getting Hard Out Here for a Pimp with side to side beat. I'd have to suppose pretty good concept to get that one particular. That's a pretty fitting type one. Who Run It slash You Scared is another nice one. This is like a classic 3-6 Mafia beat, I'd have to say, and it's an engaging kind of night revving of a song. I'd have to say this is an easy kind of crunk party starter. I would definitely feel like this is just like a classic. The You Scared 3-6 Mafia beat is a career highlight of a beat for 3-6 Mafia. That's definitely one of their most popular ones in terms of just overall gnarled crunk energy. So I definitely recommend that one. The Who Run It type lyrics on that particular song work pretty well, I'd have to say. Tear the Club Out, Tear the Club Up, Who Run It. It's a pretty nice one. Also, this is like a retro but classic 3-6 Mafia boiler. I'd have to say is pretty nice one. And that sort of pitch is like a great early rendition of noisy crunk wave. I would have to say it's a pretty good concept. Get that one in particular. So it's definitely a good concept for this one. This is early crunk. This is kind of before like Lil Jon and folks like that for the most part. Just would have to say Lil Jon, Lil Scrappy, some of those type folks that were really running crunk in like the early mid 2000s as far as that pitch kind of happens. 3-6 Mafia, of course, did crunk also, just a little bit more rowdy and a little bit more rougher type version of that, just more rugged just within that pitch. But I do like some of these early type songs from like When the Smoke Clears, like Who Run It. That's definitely continues to be a highlight of 3-6 Mafia beats. A little bit retro, I would have to say, compared. It's like 24, 25 years old now, but I still would have to say it's a classic type tune that's just a good rumbler, just in club thumper as far as that pitch can happens with this. So that's a nice one. Like Money's a pretty good highlight off here. I definitely feel like with this one in particular, it's like a superb kind of secret 3-6 Mafia single. I'd have to say this is the next follow-up single after Doughboy Fresh and throughout 2007. I'd have to suppose it's like a stellar buzz single, I would definitely have to say. And this song has dizzying, kind of blurred nightclub kind of energy, I would feel like. So this is definitely a great one to kind of get tore up in the club as far as that pitch kind of happens. Just real getting cranked for the night. Pitches like that, having some several drinks in your system, some of those type pitches, just kind of just blurring, kind of dizzying, just kind of a dizzying kind of experience just on a weekend type fare. Great Friday night type tune. A little bit more cranked than compared to Doughboy Fresh, right? I feel like Doughboy Fresh is kind of more of like a vanilla club type tune. I feel like this one's just a little bit more blurred and just stuff like that. Just a real nice one. Really appreciate this song. Had not heard this song that much, didn't remember it from back in the day. I wanted to listen to it, but I just think I never got around to it. I'd have to suppose this kind of concept, but this is a pretty highlighted one. Definitely worth picking up this project for some of these new songs on here. Like Money, Sugar Daddy, and Doughboy Fresh are all reason enough to get this particular project, including the mashups and the remixes and stuff like that. So just some good stuff. Pop in My Collar, This Bitch, That Hoe's a real nice one. This probably has one of the best beats on the whole album in terms of just the overall effectiveness. I mean, most of these beats are pretty excellent, but this is just a real effectual one. It's like a syrupy and kind of hypnotic production, I would have to say. This is just a pimpish kind of social glaze of a song, I definitely would have to suppose, and this is a pretty excellent Kickstarter. This song originally had Ludacris on there. This is just a fitting type tune. Ludacris and 3-6 Mafia didn't do a ton of songs, but this is a pretty excellent one. Definitely appreciate this one. It's off of Choices, the album. Definitely, it was pretty nice highlighted one. Just a real kind of murky type club type beat that's just very hypnotic and works pretty damn well. And this has the pop in my car. This just has the pop in my collar lyrics on there, so it's a pretty good concept for that. Sipping on Some Syrup, Got the Game Wrong, is another highlighted one. This is like a darker kind of murky evening outing malaise of a song. I'd have to say pretty good concept for that one in particular. I'd definitely have to say this is like some regular kind of social fun. I would definitely feel like, and this is just some catchy kind of gloom. I would feel like. So this is definitely one of the darker beats on here. I want to say that Got the Game Wrong was off of who? I want to say that Got the Game Wrong was off of When the Smoke Clears from the year 2000. As far as that pitch kind of particularly happens with it, just a real murky type one. This is definitely kind of a nightclub song. That's just a lot more malaise about it. Pimp C feels right at home in this particular production. He was on the original Sipping on Syrup. He was on the original Sipping on Some Syrup, but this is just a real kind of murky type one that just has a lot of good effectualness that works pretty heavily, I'd have to say. So that's a nice, that was a good mashup to kind of get that one. There's a lot of good mashups, so that's definitely a real nice one. Sugar Daddy's a pretty highlighted one. This is like a sluggish kind of late day malaise of a song. I would have to feel like this is just kind of typical. The song is just typical dark 3-6 Mafia, but affable, I would have to say, in like an initial shindig type fare. I would have to feel like, and this song is just pretty workaday. So this is just kind of one. This one is kind of a club type tune, but it's also kind of that malaise of just got done with work, some pitches like that, just got errands and tasks done, some stuff like that, just kind of the wind down type fare and just getting ready to unwind and have some pitches like that and just kind of smoke a stogie, something like that, go flirt with some ladies, some of those type pitches, just would have to say. It's kind of the concept. I just like the kind of unwind type appeal of this one. Just has some of that real slog kind of malaise about it. I just would have to suppose. Just really appreciate, like, I mean, I can't think of too many 3-6 Mafia songs that are kind of like this. This kind of a concept of just being an in-between type one. Just perfect probably for like 6:30, 6:45, 7:30, some pitches like that. Just you're not quite full blown at the nightclub, just really where the dance crazes kind of happen. You're completely tore up and twisted as far as that pitch kind of happens, but just kind of a concept of the initial kind of stuff. Just not quite like a vanilla type tune that just is kind of ho hum. Not really like a vanilla type tune that's just kind of plastic and stuff like that, but just kind of one where you're kind of just in a 3-6 Mafia kind of sense, just the initial kind of kickoff of one just getting done with the work malaise that has. So it's pretty nice and really appreciate that one. Some folks Some of the chicas from Crime Mob are on this particular song. That's a pretty dope concept. I'm gonna have to get to some of their music, but Doughboy Fresh with Chameleon is a pretty vintage hit from 3-6. I would definitely have to suppose it's like a classic and underappreciated 3-6 hit. I would definitely feel like this is like a syrupy kind of dark club boiler. I would definitely have to feel like, and this is just some regular outing kind of energy. This is definitely a vintage type one. I would have to suppose this one that you really need to fuck with. It's kind of one that I think most folks probably question as to where this song kind of went because it was the buzz single for like Last to Walk back in 2007, but it just never, because it didn't chart as heavily as it needed to. They kind of scrapped it from the album, but still, it's on this mixtape, so it is on a home body of a project. And I would recommend if you can find this particular project wherever you could find it to fuck around and get it, just because this is a pretty highlight type song. Definitely a pretty classic club type tunes, like the expansion, the evolution of songs like Still Fly or Stay Fly by the evolution of songs like Stay Fly by 3-6 Mafia and Side to Side and some of those type ones. Just a 2007 rendition of that particular concept. So it's just basically like an in between of Most Known Unknown and Last Walk. Pretty good pitch to get that one. The Doughboy Fresh remix is a pretty highlighted one also. This is like a more jittery and janky version of the original. I would definitely have to suppose it's a good get stone cut. I would definitely feel like, and this is just a solid kind of mid dance hit. I would have to suppose this one's a little bit more dance ready than the original Doughboy Fresh. It still has the same verses on there, but it's pretty highlighted type pitch. It's like the overall kind of high as hell type version of this particular type song. I have to say this is a real jankier type version. I do like this is just a real jankier type version. I like the particular feel of this particular one. It's just a little bit different. This reminds me of a song that Lil White would have been on, something of that particular pitch as far as that particular habits. Not to say that he's janky or something like that, but it's just kind of more jittery and just a little bit more malaise, just stuff like that. Just the kind of the concept of just having a little bit more wired type feel about it that works pretty damn well. I'd have to suppose it's a nice one. The Side to Side remix is another highlight. This is another good hit remix off this particular project. This is a more screeching kind of alert crunk type rumbler. I would definitely have to suppose it's like a lively kind of noisemaker. I would definitely feel like, and this is just kind of a stellar turn up smasher. I would definitely feel like, so it's just a good concept. This beat this beat may not be as good as the original Side to Side, but still pretty highlighted one. I'll take either rendition of it. I like the concept. I like the concept of getting some of these highlights. I do like the fact that 3-6, they produce these. 3-6 produces their own hits, so it's of course the concept that they should be able to create a pretty stellar remix as far as that pitch kind of has with this. So it's just basically getting like another good dose of Side to Side, which is a pretty smash hit type single as far as that pitch kind of happens with it. So it's just a real excellent rendition of some of that. This works pretty damn well. So those are just some bopish type ones. I would have liked more remixes from some more of these songs off this particular album, just the singles that they had on Most Known Unknown. It's definitely pretty good concept to get a lot of these songs in particular on here. It's just a real highlighted type project, just with a lot of good appeals about it. So to talk about the three songs I didn't recommend on here, which would just be basically Riding Spinners / Bad Guy mashup. Basically, I didn't like the production, the beat that they chose, which is the Bad Guy beat. I think Riding Spinners would have been the better one, but I just didn't really appreciate the production on that particular one. I want to say that that was a Lil White song or something like that. I don't remember what particular album that the Bad Guy song was particularly on, but I just didn't appreciate that one as much. And then there were two songs that both versions of the mashup were just not that good, which I would have to say I'd Rather / Stay Fly, both mashups. They tried the I'd Rather beat and then they tried the Stay Fly beat, but both renditions of these just didn't really fit. These were just not good choices to kind of have like a mashup to kind of do that particular type of thing. So both of those were kind of duds, but that's just that as far as that particular kind of goes. So me basically recommending 10 songs out of 17 on here plus four almost songs that are on other projects. I'd have to suppose I'm basically going to give this mixtape like a 9.5 out of 10. It would damn near get a 10 if I had like 14 out of 17 songs and they had all been original or something like that, or just within that relative pitch, or just not being on other projects. This project would have definitely gotten a 10. This project would have definitely gotten a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's damn good. The quality is on here. It's excellently produced. There's a lot of good stuff just within that affability, just a lot of good marketability and stuff like that. Tons of good nightclub songs and smokage tunes and just overall crank type stuff to get to as far as that pitch kind of happens. Which leads me to the social score. But yeah, 9.5 out of 10. But that leads me to the social score. The social score is probably going to get a 10 out of 10 just because this is a pretty affable project. Has tons of good nightlife and pitches like that. Just some pretty good appeal. A lot of these mashups are pretty affable. They pick mostly good choices as far as that pitch can happen. Just some good renditions to get some of these 3-6 Mafia's biggest hits, just kind of see what they could do with it in like a creative sense. So it definitely works pretty well. Plenty of good social nightlife and just pitches like that. Just residential type fare, stuff like that, just getting snackage at like midnight, 1 in the morning, some pitches like that, getting Taco Bell, some of those type things as far as that particular kind of happens. Just crunk type tunes for the ladies. I like that Diamond and Princess were on here. There's a good rendition of like the Crime Mob Chicas as far as that pitch can happen to some tunes like that. There are the new songs that were on here that were standalone singles work pretty well because these are just some affable type vivid nightlife that's just classic 3-6 Mafia that you just can't really find anywhere else just because they were kind of throwaway singles back in 2007, but some good concepts. So 10 social, 9.5 score. Is I'd say in terms of the future, like 3-6 Mafia has broken up. Juicy J has a pretty thriving solo career. DJ Paul has been dropping and producing projects. He's dropped at least projects up to 2016, so there are some more of these. Do you want to review some of DJ Paul stuff and some more Juicy J type stuff? And I definitely want to get to some more 3-6 Mafia projects just with that spot. So it's just some excellent stuff across the board. This is damn near a classic. The only real true problem about this particular project is just not being able to find it. But other than that, this is pretty much damn near a classic mixtape.